Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the StarLadder StarSeries Season 14. I do apologize with what just happened there with the advertisements. I have no clue what OBS just did, but unfortunately the video freaked out on itself, so I had to go away with it. Hopefully that won't happen again. But welcome, guys, indeed, here now to our North American match for this evening. It's going to be EnemyGG taking on Denial. And of course, these two teams sort of have been battling each other for some time, and Denial, I think, is the one that's been looking to get its name out there the most, whereas Enemy, of course, they've been in Pro League now for at least one season, a lot of the upper leagues as well. We're struggling a bit at the beginning, but I think they've actually come into their own now. We've been seeing some pretty good performances coming up for these guys, but Denial as well has a lot of potential behind them. They're looking to qualify for a lot of the higher-up leagues. In fact, they've already gotten here to StarLadders, so we'll have to see just how well they can perform against Enemy, which I think is actually going to be a pretty good match for them. Now, what's very interesting about at least the map picks here, when we take a look at the fact that Enemy has chosen Inferno, is this is a map that, at least off of my observations, Enemy has never really done that well on this map in the past. They've actually had a lot of issues here, but for some reason it keeps popping up as their choice, so it's very odd to see it once again. I'm still really not sure why we keep seeing it as their claim map, but for some reason they do so. At least when they go up against higher tier North American teams, they tend to have a lot of problems with it, so we'll see again after going up against another team that, again, could probably be a little bit more equated to being on their level, maybe a little bit below it, at least when you look reputationally. They might have a better chance. But anyway, we're getting started now with the pistol rounds. We can already see there's Uber racking up a frag there and catches the rush coming. He's going to grab a second one over here on the Vice, too. And whoa, there's some language. Hold on. That's not supposed to be happening. We can disable that, but MAiNLiNE is going to be able to pick up another one. Witmer rolling back out, though, and hold on, this round might not be done just as of yet, as Witmer is going to come back over here towards Banana, and he picks up 2 kills right after that, so he's now up to 3 now. And Relyks, along with Koosta, both sitting back onto that B site now. Witmer is actually going to work his way back over here towards T-Spawn, maybe trying to trap the individuals, but I don't think he actually realizes that 2 players are still sitting back over on B, so he's still going to think that somebody might be flanking him, but look at where he's heading. This could be perfect. Look at what Witmer's doing right now. The members of Enemy have no clue, and the best part is he can hear it as well, and Koosta, they haven't checked it yet, but he's going to see him. Witmer grabs 1, but thankfully Relyks is there for the quick trade, and that's going to save the round from Enemy. And that's going to be now 1-0 for the members of Enemy, and as for Denial as well, they'll have to start off from rock bottom here in their second round, but we're actually going to be seeing them go for the force-up here on round number 2. Sick actually able to get himself over with a full AK buy. The rest of the team going for mainly Tech 9 buy-ups, and Shinobi's actually just going to choose to save cash, because I think he was, if I'm looking at the money correctly, he might have been the one that bought the AK and tossed it over to Sick. So they've got that sort of raid boss buy, but it's happening on the second round. I've seen this done before. It's a pretty interesting one. You don't really see it done by North American teams all that much, at least not normally. But anyway, they're going to try to work their way back in. Witmer's going to get dropped first here by Uber. The second one is Vice rolls in too, also going to get taken down by him. So far, it's been relatively unchallenged, so we could still just camp back over there by Spools, and now Relyks himself is going to pop back out, finds one. Shinobi hasn't even realized that he's there yet, so Relyks is going to be able to dispatch himself with a second kill as well, and then Koosta coming in for the final one. Takes down Sick, and that is actually going to enable the second point here for Enemy, and absolutely no losses coming in either. They lose no one, so a lot of saves, and especially with the big investment that they had gone for here, now they've got 3 rifles in the bag. They've lost none of them on the previous round, so these guys are going to be looking really, really good when it comes into that first gun round, which should be happening on round number 4 here for Denial, because even though they do that really weird buy, they should still be on track to get round number 4 here, but they're going to get aggressive this time, and Koosta just ripping them apart. That's a lot of cash and extras and excess that he's going to be able to pick up, and now just looking at one more left alive here, and that's going to be Shinobi. He was left with nothing to do, so Enemy just wanted to end that round nice and quick. That's exactly how they're going to do it on the trash run for Denial. Now we see the guns getting into everybody's hands on the terrorist side, though, so hopefully they're going to be able to make some progress. Full smokes too, so should be good for an entry. One thing that is going to be troublesome is the fact that they really only have 1 molly to work with, and that's going to be fruit with that one. So if they try to go towards the A site, for example, where you have a lot of players tucked away in these positions, you're not going to have a lot of mollies that can be used to clear things out. And also looking at like flashbangs and even HE grenades too, which could be very, very useful for initially clearing out the site and for the post plant too. They're just not really going to have all that much to use here, so they're going to be very careful with those smokes and make sure that they're using them to the fullest extent they can. And we can see here from Enemy as well. Now they move themselves down Banana, and they've even got an aggressive hold here, so they're almost forcing Denial into making it. They're almost forcing Denial into making an A play. And if this goes the way that it's expected to, then obviously again Enemy are going to be perfectly ready for this. They've already rotated Uber back over here from the B site, who was previously on Banana too, so they've got extra support in here. This is exactly what they're trying to do. The smokes have faded away from Banana, and we've seen Denial again. They're actually making quite a bit of progress towards getting towards that A site. But we can see Uber now has the smoke for cover, so he's going to be able to aggress these guys a little bit as they come through mid-choke, but nonetheless, the pressure still rolls in. So far, the only kill comes out there from MAiNLiNE and Anomaly. Witmer did trade back one more, but as we can see, the CT's still holding very nicely. There's 2 kills being picked up by MAiNLiNE, and as for Witmer, Relyks is going to be able to come back in to stop him, take him down. That eliminates Witmer, and now EnemyGG up to 4 points to nothing. So far, flawless on their CT side, and making me a bit of a liar here, as they're actually doing very well on that CT side, which is, again, a pretty good change. This is something that's been happening recently for Enemy quite a bit, as we've been seeing a lot of good changes coming in for this team, and part of that could be what's been improved on the CT side. One of their biggest issues, at least looking at the mid to late season of a lot of the other leagues, was the fact that, again, the communication on the CT side was probably lacking in a very big way, but it seems so far, again, we're only 4 rounds in, but it seems so far things are going very well, and this round might be ending pretty quickly here, too, as it's 4-1 traded here back on Banana. Bloodbath has occurred. And Shinobi, again, will be the last one alive. Quickly dispatched by Uber as he picks up 3 kills. And now, once again, we'll look at Enemy with a strong lead here as they now go into another buy round. And the money here, too, is another big factor when we take a look at Enemy. Post-buys, lowest player here at the moment is Relyks, sitting at 6.5k, and Relyks is, actually, I think Anomaly sitting at 5k, if I correct myself. Yeah, a little below 5k at 4.7, but still, those 2 guys are the ones that are playing up front for the most part here. Anomaly is probably going to be right in the root of the trade for a lot of this, and we can see Relyks, too. He plays with this other teammate there, Uber, to try and push back in over here towards Banana, and oftentimes, again, if there is a little bit of an overreach there, those 2 are going to be the ones that end up going down, but koosta grabs the first kill, a nice close-range op shot there in order to take down Shinobi, so no progress is going to be made in terms of getting inside of the apartments just as of yet, and a very huge stack in that apartments too from Enemy. 3 players combined in there, so there's no way that NILE are making a push towards this one. They would have to go to Banana, but even this has failed too, as Uber has found yet another kill. The only thing they have going for them right now is this here with Fruit. He's flanked his way all the way through mid-choke, around Rap side. It is now potentially going to surprise that B site. They need for this to work, and it's going to work out great there, as take a look, Vice even clears out the 2 natural A site defenders. He does eventually die because he stays in that molly for too long, but now Fruit's picked up a kill here too, and it's going to be Uber trying to keep himself alive inside this site. He does get flashed, so not going to be able to notice that Sick is sitting back over there towards the grill. He's going to peek back out, try to get him in the corner. They do throw out that molly. It doesn't actually connect, but it forces him out anyway, and that's going to be enough for Fruit to find a frag. They did get some good damage on the Sick, so koosta, he does have a chance to clutch this in a 1 versus 2, but he's going to have to find Sick very quickly, and he's out in the open now, so take him down. There you go. Now koosta started it, down to the 1 versus 1. Fruit is a heavy health advantage, though, but look at all this utility koosta has to work with here. He's going to move in, but it won't be happening. Fruit gets molly, but it doesn't matter. He takes down koosta, and the clutch from him is finally going to put point onto the board for denial and start their way off on the way back. But as we were discussing before, from Enemy, still plenty of cash left, so they're going to be able to easily go for another rebuy. In terms of how long it'll stick, unfortunately, it's not for long. It's enough for a full rebuy, and that's the most important thing, is they do need utility and whatnot. They're going to try to get aggressive here, too. Down Banana as well, but Sick's got him lined up. He's only going to grab 1, though. There is going to be a good response that comes out from MAiNLiNE in order to take back down on Sick, and now they've got full mid control. Alt mid, not so much, but koosta with great smoke timing there is going to be able to line up that shot on a Fruit just before it plumes away. Uber grabbing another one, and it seems, at least with this round on the aggression, Enemy are going to be able to restore the balance here, and Vice will have to look to try and do something in this 1 versus 4 he's now in. Best option, again, he's got a minute left, so saving isn't really something valid to look at just as of yet. So he's probably going to want to just press in here and try to get as much economical damage by setting up traps as he can here. He's got, again, you know, smoke, molly, and a flashbang, so he can do a little bit of distractionary work, but he's going to have to look for those kills, and slowly here, Enemy might try to work their way out to shut him down. He has an AK. The rest of the team has gone down to a point where they're not really going to be able to go for a buy here. So it's not the biggest deal in the world if they do let him escape. But obviously if they can drop that enough to deal with any AKs at all, that's going to be something even better here for these guys, of course. And now he's trying to push in a Banana, but I don't imagine this going so well. And in fact, it's not going to, as Anomaly shuts it down nice and quick there with some support coming in from MAiNLiNE. No guns at all going to be in the hands of Denial's players here as we head into round number 8. Most expensive things they're probably going to have will be Tech 9s, maybe a stray Deagle or 2 here. It's a couple of these guys, especially in North America, like to throw those out, but it doesn't look like it's going to be happening this round. Just Tech 9s, no utility, P250s. It's actually a nice little array there. It's Tech 9s at the top and the bottom, then we got the P250s in the center one, and then Vice is a lonely little Glock in the middle. But anyway, Enemy, Uber specifically taking this round as an opportunity to actually make this a little bit easier on himself. He's gone for the P90 buy, but they're Sick actually getting some good damage back over onto Anomaly. It's going to be enough to, at the very least, force him back. But again, the holds from the rest of these guys not faltering at all. And although Denial makes some progress up over here on Banana to get themselves towards the car position, it's not really going to be that impactful, as we'll see here now. There's Uber. And Relyks just with the lineup, shutting them down, and even Anomaly comes in here to party too. No progress made at all, and look at that. It's a massacre, just sitting on the ground right in front of them. All 5 bodies left for dead. As Enemy, again, is going to be given plenty of opportunities to stack up the cash. Denial, they will go for another buy round here. It's going to be a little bit forced, as we can see 2 Tech 9s coming onto the board that won't have rifles sitting behind them. One of them, actually, it looks like it gets tossed back over to Witmer, as I think they trust Witmer. As we can see, they trust him to do a lot more impact this time. And Koosta picking up that op as well, once again, as he's back to a good point in terms of his own economy, so he should be able to work that. Might have had it in the last round, too, but wasn't really paying attention too much to the guns on the CT side, so I could be completely oblivious to this right now. But Shinobi's going to try to actually put that molly pressure to hold the push back. Uber could press forward against it if he wants to, and it would actually be really good right now, because most of Denial are moving themselves back over here inside of the A site through the balcony. This is actually going to be a big flush waterfall play. They try to move themselves out, but Anomaly holds it fine, and is going to be able to take down 3 players back to back to back. Relyks is the only one that resists it, and now Shinobi again. Ironically enough, he's always the last player left alive, and he usually manages to pick up at least a kill, but again, is going to very quickly get traded out there by Koosta as he finds the Juan Dig to shut it down. An Enemy with an absolutely barnstorming lead here on their CT side. It's going to have a huge lead here to start themselves off. And again, Denial looks like they're going to have to go for another save, just below that threshold to where they could have forced it up. And they already tried to do it previously, so they're going to have to try and go for a save here. They'll definitely have a full buy and an op if they wanted to. I know Witmer and Koosta are talking about trying to troll the casters by not buying ops this time, but seems Koosta's already gone against that, even if they agreed to it to begin with, so yeah. It's not pissing me off. I don't know why that would piss off casters to begin with. So. Anomaly shuts down the first player back over here as he hugs the Jesus pole just outside a porch. Witmer tries to get that peek going back over here through mid-choke. Not going to be able to find it. But as we can see, the rest of the team still trying to make a little bit of progress. I believe inside the apartments as well here. They're going to try to find their way inside, but probably not going to go so well with the current gun spread that they have for themselves. But as we can see, again, they're meeting a lot of trouble actually trying to get through mid-choke this time around. So Relyks is going to be sitting inside the cubby. He'll just wait for this play to come back out. One's going to get shut down by Anomaly. Relyks finding another one, and again, this push is all but failed there. And we can see, again, easily dispatched. Unfortunately, Denial just not able to make an impact into these eco rounds at all. So we'll see into this next round. Witmer actually does end up buying an op, as we were predicting before, since they've got a whole lot of cash to work with this time. He can even get a Tech 9, along with head armor and everything, pretty much everything sitting behind it too. Not a lot of utility, but can't really expect that to happen when you buy the op, which can be a very expensive buy just in itself, and he'll get a chance to make some progress here very early in the round. They're trying to push through. The fortune that Molly, as you can see, is not giving him a whole lot to work with there, but still manages to line up one shot. He's got to find a second one here, as he does allow Uber to squeak through, finds a second one, looking for the third, but Koosta's going to win the 1-versus-1 op duel there, takes down Witmer, and now leaves things into an even traded 3-versus-3, but Enemy holding in a lot of pressure at this point, unfortunately leaving only one player sitting on the A site, but Relyks is going to be able to hold Banana, and now falls back to leave mainly Anomaly to try and defend this now. They're actually going to be pushing in here, so Anomaly's going to try to hold this. He sees the flash, doesn't catch any of these players moving in, and for safety reasons, he's going to fall back, but Relyks, look, he's still partially rotating. He's just now reversing this decision to come back in, but Anomaly's going to need some help. He tries to throw that smoke down, but it comes in way too late, and Vice is going to be able to spot him. Now Relyks, as we can see, trying to creep his way back in, spots one player, but very messy on that spray, so he's not going to be able to take down Vice. He retreats himself back over and is going to reposition himself back over here. I believe he's actually still sitting behind Emo, but it'll be Shinobi that tries to get behind Nubox. Relyks, no! Trying to reposition himself, but again, comes up short when it comes to the spray. So Shinobi's going to pick up the frag onto him, and then Vice will shut down Koosta just as he rotates in from Banana there. That takes him out, and Denial actually managed to finally squeak through with the second round for themselves here. But of course, again, the big problem here for Denial is getting past that CT economy. As Enemy have a very, very strong round score here, and for the most part, these have been ones that are fairly clean too. Just in the past 3 rounds, we've had multiple examples of the team being left fully alive at the end of it, so a lot of money is still going to be stacked up on these players because of that. In fact, they can probably go for another buy round after this, which is very, very uncommon to see on the CT side, especially for North American teams, because that's one of the biggest things that we often see them struggling with, is their ability to stack up a CT economy. Even when they are dominating like this, the rounds are usually a lot closer and leaves the CT side with at most like 2 to 3 players alive. and then you'll only have like this round coming up at most. The fact that Enemy have built up such a strong CT side economy is going to be another very, very hard factor for the members of Denial to go up against, especially as we get later into this half. They're almost good for the entire half at this point, and we're going to see them trying to make some progress, but Anomaly with a great hold, sitting inside a boiler there. He does get taken down, but Relyks comes in to cover. He's going to shut down Witmer. 2 kills were picked up by the members of Denial, but still going to leave it down to just Sick at this point. Finding one, though, and clearing out a partial path, but he's got to get back at bomb control. Relyks throws that molly. I don't actually think it's positioned correctly, and it's not going to matter anyway, as Sick is going to get caught over there by koosta as he tries to cross through the mid-choke point. That'll take him down, and again, this will break Denial, as they'll have their own losing bonus reset here. Gonna have to save for at least one round, depending on the buys they do this time. And it looks like they're just going to pick up light pistols here, Tech 9s, a P250 on Vice. Sick does go for the armor investment as well, but he's actually sitting on a little bit more cash than the rest of his teammates, so that's going to be much more warranted over the period of time here once we get into the next gun round, which should be coming up directly after this. It, again, may end up being a little bit forced, but they should still have enough to do it. But the big problem here is getting past Enemy, and unfortunately, Denial is making... MAiNLiNE messes up that nade a little bit there, but again, they're making these very predictable plays, and the problem is that they're not really changing it all that much once they know that they've been discovered. Like, take that play there as a perfect example. I'll wait to see if shinobi can make any impact here at this point, but it's not going to be the case. So we take that round as sort of an example of an issue that's coming up here from Denial at this point. Is, again, it's an eco, so we don't expect them to do all that much, but this has been happening on a lot of the rifle rounds, too. They work their way up the T-steps, one player is immediately spotted out and shot down. You could easily predict at that point as a player playing from balcony, and you're going to hear it, too, because they just come stomping down the long haul that, okay, this push is going to be coming out back over here. At least a couple players is going to be coming out back over by the balcony. I need a little bit of support. So that's called, they're going to rotate in. Unfortunately, Denial don't catch on to this, and they basically just walk right into a trap, as it would seem. So plays like that keep happening a lot here with Denial's offense, and unfortunately it just leads to these shutdowns from Enemy, and it's another reason as to why they've also got a pretty good economy right now, too, is because they get that intel so early with these little spouts of aggression that they're peeking inside of the apartments, and, you know, these little aggressive spouts out middle here, too, which we actually have one of going on right now with MAiNLiNE sitting just outside of the hay barrels, or the haystack. I don't even know what you call this. Wheelbarrow, I guess is the appropriate term, but back on Banana, things are being held very well. This crossfire for Relyks and one of their member here of Enemy just absolutely shutting down everyone from Denial. Vice is going to be left as the last player left alive here at this point, and we can see it down to 41 HP. He does pick up one kill. Relyks will take him down very quickly right after that, as we're going to be heading into the final round of the half here. 12-2. Enemy might already have this first map in the bag, to be completely honest, but we'll have to see what Denial can do on the second one. If they don't pick up this round, and again, they're not really going to have a very good chance to do so with these pistol armor buys coming back out, but if they don't pick up this round, then it's going to make the best case scenario here, 13-2 for them. That would mean if they drop the pistol, it's basically GG at that point if they can't respond on the second round eco force up. So MAiNLiNE already going to pick up 2 at the beginning of this one. He does end up getting pressured by Vice, which will allow it to take him back down again, but now Relyks pushing out, catches one back over there through the logs to take down shinobi. Now you just have Vice and Sick left, and they might have already been found out a little bit here too. MAiNLiNE might have been able to see generally where they are, so this is going to prompt some aggression from 2 of the members on Enemy. Both Relyks and Uber are going to push their way back over here towards the middle. They don't find anything, so again, there's going to be a little bit of a heightened sense of security back over here on the A site now, because obviously they couldn't have pushed into B as of yet. They also have to be careful of the wrap side too, so it leaves the defense mainly to Anomaly. The big problem is this flank, and I think Relyks has already spotted Vice, so there goes the bomb, just swipes him to death. And now Sick, stuck inside of the long haul here. He might be investigated upon in just a moment, but they're covering all their assets anyway here. As they throw down that molly, he's going to try to rush back out, but I think Relyks spotted. Doesn't matter though, Sick, oh no, Sick! Tries to open up the flank, but I think he wanted to go for the knife kill or something there at the end just to try to show off a little bit, but that doesn't pan out so well. He gets shut down, and indeed, Enemy pick up the 13th point here. So, although we have seen struggles on the T side in the past, for North American teams, actually, the T side does tend to be a little bit of an easier side. I mean, like I said, we'll basically have to see what Denial are able to pull off. If they can pick up that pistol round, there is a very, very small chance that maybe, just maybe, they'd be able to get themselves back into this game, but more than likely, it's going to end up going by the way of Enemy. And if that is the case, and we don't see a response once again from Denial on the second round of this half in round number 17, then Enemy should just be able to run away with it, as that would already set them up to 15 points. We'll be on the trash round from Denial. They'll force it up again, but it'll be just as big as the second round, and if they can handle it once, I'm more than sure they'll be able to handle it twice. But we can see Enemy Just pushing right up over here. There's an attempt from Vice there to try and push his way towards it. And this is actually a really good bait here, too, because, look, they're going to make it seem like they're all just rushing inside, but look, they're trapping them now. They're going to hold them in middle, and MAiNLiNE already takes out 2 additional players because of this. They let them get the intel there back over on the balcony. They hear them coming down because they have those players sitting behind that hay bale there, and then they just spring the trap there. As soon as they can trap them in middle, they shut them down, and now it's just left to 2 players alive, and there's even a wedge driven between these 2 guys as well. witmer has worked his way into construction, so he could do some damage, but Relyks has to deal with Fruit, and Fruit has no idea that Relyks is sitting here. He's looking the complete other direction when Relyks does eventually end up taking him down, and then Anomaly is going to shut it down as well for the final kill. So very well handled, actually, in this pistol round from Enemy. Really good play from those guys to try and force Denial into a reactionary move, and it works out great. It shuts them down, and that is going to put Enemy up to 14 points now with 2 very good rounds coming up directly after this. And we will see, as we predicted here, the second round force-up from Denial in order to attempt to try and stop this as best as they can. But if this doesn't happen, they'll have to repeat that buy, see what they can do as out on Enemy's match point, and Enemy will easily be armed to the teeth here and should be able to deal with it. As Denial will not even be given a chance on this CT side, but Sick, at very least, is going to be able to find a trade at the beginning of this round. Peeks back out there, finds that kill on a koosta, but is very quickly dispatched as Relyks trades it out. But he did get some good damage back over here onto Relyks before he ended up falling as well. Down at 34 HP. We can see the rest. They're going to try to push back out and shut them down, but actually, shinobi's going to pick up a kill. Uber trades them back right after that one, though. He's eventually going to be taken down by Fruit, and that leaves it into a 2-on-2 with a big rifle being recovered by Fruit. He's got armor behind it, but only 18 HP makes that a bit of a moot point. As now we have, again, 2 left alive here from Enemy, and Denial's final player is going to still have to rotate in from that B site. He's doing it now, but the plant comes in. MAiNLiNE actually in a bit of a risky position, but thankfully, Fruit doesn't actually get there in time, and Anomaly already knows where he is, too, so he's just going to try to line it up. Succeeds in doing so. That shuts him out, and there we have it now. The 15th point on the board for Enemy. Denial still not going to be able to put up a sufficient enough buy. They'll force it up with armor once again on their pistols, having a little bit more utility behind it this time because they get the extra losing bonus, and we do see a scout coming out from Vice. But still, for the rest of Enemy, full AKs. We've got 1 player on a Galil. That's about it. And they've got full utility to work with as well. So everything they need to force these guys out. We'll see a desperation play potentially coming out for Enemy as they're going to actually peek themselves out. Some good damage on a Vice, but they have to hold it back now because of the large presence they see. And that flash comes out. Does some good work on koosta, and I believe a couple of the players behind him too, but now as they press their way through, there's going to be Vice shutting down one. Fruit does find a second, so they're holding it for now at the mid-choke, but they've got to fall back and give them some room to breathe, that they still are dealing with a much more powerful arsenal, and they've got to try to line up these surprise shots. koosta, again, tries to test his luck back over here on the Rap side, but the flash is going to come out. They're going to look to shut these guys down as they peek out against him here, and they're just double teaming it. Shinobi picking up the first kill, koosta responding, looking for another one, but he runs out of ammo. He's got to switch to that pistol, and now that gives Shinobi a chance. He picks up the first kill and the final one, and Denial, in fact, will keep themselves in this game for the time being with a very nice play there back on the A site, holding it brilliantly, and a little bit of a mistake there, too. That unfortunately ends up costing them a little bit. But we will see as big of an investment as we can get here. And Enemy actually are not really going to be able to go for too big of a one. They do go for the Tech 9. They do go for the Tech 9 investment here, along with a couple players just on P250s out of necessity. But for MAiNLiNE, Anomaly, and koosta, they're going to be leading the charge with these Tech 9s. And again, Tech 9s still very capable weapons. There's a very real chance that we may be able to see these guys come out on top of this map, still just off of this one. And unfortunately, the other big factor too is Denial. Now they've got to win 12 rounds perfectly in a row to take it to OT. So it's going to be rough. Vice connects a very good one initially, but Relyks trades it out. Fruit picking up one here too. And again, bringing it down to a 2 versus 2, but a rifle is scavenged. We see a very quick retake attempt as now they're going to move in. They're looking for these frags. Relyks holding behind him. No one spotted him as of yet. He's going to try to rotate out. Picks up the first one. Trying to line up that second kill. Down to 12 HP. It's going to be a little bit risky, but he manages to do it anyway. Shuts out Shinobi. And a good play from Relyks is indeed going to end the first map 16-3 in the favor of Enemy, guys. Map number 2 is going to be coming up in just a few moments, I believe, on Cash. So stick around for it right here at the StarLadder StarSeries Season 14 on Twitch.